A viewer who will be known simply as A wished to remain anonymous, sent in this fantastic question via email. A asks, I am a huge fan of your show, and while I'm a huge fan of your emails, and while I have always supported free software as it is perfectly in line with my personal ethics, I haven't really practiced it as often as I would have liked. Dude, join the club. Man, it is not easy to go full free software. Not easy at all. Your show, among other things in my life, has really pushed me to try and do it more. Awesome. I'm glad I could help, man. Or girl. Just saying. It's an A. This leads to my current and really minor dilemma. I want to pay for, own entirely, share with friends and family, etc., and watch a movie on my computer without non-free software. Perhaps I may have simply ethicsed myself into a box, but if anyone would know a good solution, I thought it would be you. Regardless, thank you again for making such great content. Subscribed on Library. First of all, thank you for subscribing on Library, also known as LBRY. You can find it at lbry.io. It's a nice distributed open source platform for distributing videos, and I'm more liking it more and more. When this is a bit of a side tangent, but not really, because it deals with audio or video distribution. And video distribution in an open source DRM free way is not easy right now. I mean, you go online. What are you going to do? Stream stuff from Netflix? No, it's both closed source on the server, closed source on the client, filled with DRM. It's a nightmare. But LBRY is a little bit different. It's open and distributed. It's all blockchainy, right? Which I'm like, whatever. Blockchainy is fine. I don't care one way or the other. But I like the distributed nature of it, and I like how open it is. And I like the fact that when you go to watch one of my shows, what happens is, and you can find the links to subscribe to it via LBRY on lunduk.com on my website. It's free. You don't have to pay anything for it. What I like about it is you subscribe to my channel, which is just at Lunduk, I think. And when new videos come out, it just auto downloads it. It's sort of like an RSS feed in a lot of ways. It auto downloads it in a nice distributed way. And what you get is a DRM free MP4 file. Just like the good Lord intended, right? And that means you can back up the video. You can back it up. And I absolutely encourage you to do that. Because when you watch a show and you enjoy it, I feel like you should be allowed to archive it for later. It's sort of like a book or a video game or an album of terrific music. If you like it, you should find a way to be able to watch it, to listen to it, to play it later. And making sure it's DRM free and downloaded to a machine so you can put it on different computers and whatnot is so important to that. So LBRY is fantastic. I mean, it's not YouTube big or anything like that, right? But the fact that it exists and it does seem to be gaining some traction, that makes me really happy. Anyway, but so that kind of ties into how do we do that for the vast majority of media and content that's out there? And the answer is you really can't. Not for the most part. I mean, can you do it with stuff from Hulu or Netflix or HBO Go or whatever their streaming thing is called? And probably not from the Disney Plus service when it launches. So you're not going to be doing it from a streaming service. You're just not going to. And if you purchase videos from any online purchasing video service, Vudu or all the or iTunes or whatever the heck they're all called, you really aren't purchasing it. What you're doing is paying for a theoretically long-term license that will exist as long as they let you have it and as long as you are using the platforms and software that they dictate you use, and it's still filled with DRM, and you have to be running closed source code, and if their services go away, you lose access to that content. That sucks about 50,000 different ways. It's not all lost. There are options out there, but they're not fantastic and they're not streamy. So one is Netflix old school. Get DVDs. DVDs from Netflix. I know what you're saying, but DVDs are so old. But DVDs are great. You still get HD. You still get at least 720p, right? So you still get a decent image quality, and you can grab it from Netflix and still watch it using free software. There's some downsides to that, because legally, if you're renting things from Netflix, you got to return it, and you can't just legally rip it and legally put it on your system, and that is legally not would be legally a crime, right? Legally. That said, there are other ways. You can go down to a video store. I know those don't really exist much anymore. Let's say you go down to a Target or a Walmart or a Best Buy, and you buy a movie on DVD. You bring it home and you rip that, and you own the DVD. You own it, but you rip it and keep the media on a personal media server. Like I have a server here. It's actually running off of a Raspberry Pi, but I have a server here, and I put a bunch of things like kid videos that my kids watch, because I don't want to have to put in and out the DVDs or into the drives all the time, and I don't want my kids handling them, because like my 3.5-year-old son, those DVDs will be destroyed, right? Those will get stepped on and busted and scratched to all heck. So I don't want them doing that. So I rip them, put them on my little server running a Raspberry Pi that actually has Nextcloud on it too, and then I can stream it to any of the devices in my house, which includes some of my Raspberry Pi devices, as well as my more closed consoles and whatnot as well. So whatever you have, you can utilize, and you can do so entirely with free software end to end if you want, and that is nice. I like that. Again, though, it's more expensive because you can't use like a streaming service in order to do it. It's less theoretically convenient in some ways, because you're not going to be able to use a streaming service, but once you do have it ripped, you know that show that you've purchased is one that you can always watch. Then maybe you don't want to watch things more than once. Maybe, right? Who knows? But if you are the kind of person that's going to watch a piece of content more than once, owning it, a physical copy of it, and having that ripped on a local server that's accessible just for your home, that's a pretty big deal. Now, legally, you should not be distributing that to your friends and families and colleagues then, because that's yours that you owned. In theory, you could take that digital disc and give it to a friend, and he could still play that DVD using free software. So that is entirely possible. I mean, you can use a Videoland client, VLC, in order to play back that DVD, and it'll work just fine. Unfortunately, right now, that's probably your best bet, unless you just simply write off the vast majority of movie and TV show content that's out there. Now, for TV stuff, there's really not a lot of great options here. There's really just not. Unless you're willing to wait, buy DVD box sets of TV shows and watch them that way, which honestly is not so bad. There's sacrifices. In order to make yourself a completely free software, open sourcey home and live devoid of DRM as much as possible. Again, there's DRM on those DVDs, but you can crack it and rip it with free software. You're going to make sacrifices. You just are. And it's up to each of us to determine how much sacrifice we want to make for that sort of thing. And the answer, realistically, for most open source and free software advocates is that they use free software and open source in the vast majority of their life until it becomes really, really annoying, like this. This specific issue is one that crops up. I know so many free software advocates that use free software in the vast majority of their lives and then subscribes to Hulu and Netflix. I do that. That's me. It's just the way it is, right? Honestly, if it was just me and I didn't have a wife and kids and all that sort of thing, maybe I would just go the DVD route. Maybe I would. But, with, kids and everyone else in the household and wanting to watch live TV and stream things and blah, 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 having those streaming services is nice. And I make those concessions to myself, and every now and then look around and try and find ways to do it with free software, which is hard. It's hard to do. You know what? I say, kudos on you for just thinking about it, right? Thinking about these sorts of issues and trying to come up with ways to do it using free software and do it legally and do it in a good way that you, like you say, that you pay for and you own. That's taking responsibility for it yourself. That's trying to find the right way to do it, not just legally, but morally and ethically, to support the creators of the content and also to encourage use of free software in your life and the lives of those around you. That's amazing, man or girl. Keep it up, I say. Keep trying to find ways to do it. And if you need to have a Netflix or Hulu or whatever account, it's okay. You know what? If you go, I have seen very, very few keynote speakers at Linux and open source conferences that don't have a Netflix or Hulu account of some kind. So you're in good company. That's all I'm going to say about that. And this episode of Try to Be as Free Software as You Can is brought to you in part by Purism, who are the most free software-y company I possibly know. Purism is awesome. Their operating system, Pure OS, which is Debian-based, has been certified, stamp of friggin' approval, by the Free Software Foundation themselves. They make laptops, and they've got a phone they're working on that runs that Pure OS. They dedicate themselves to shipping their platform, their laptops, their phones without a mountain of binary blobs or closed source applications. They walk the walk and talk the talk. Find out more over at Purism's website, puri.sm. Check it out. See if their laptops are a good fit for you. They have hardware kill switches on them. So not only is you're getting something free software, you're getting something that respects your privacy and helps you to stay a little bit more secure in your daily life. That's awesome. That's a great thing. And just like who's trying to push forward more free software, Purism's doing the same thing. Love those guys. And if you want more information about this show, going over to lunduke.com. Here's a whole bunch of links. You can look at those links, or you can just go to lunduke.com. Over on lunduke.com, those links are there too. It's fantastic. I'll see you guys later.